Hello, and welcome to the podcast where good trivia gets rewarded and bad lies are punished. This is What's the Fact?
Yes, hello, my name's Ryan Whittle, and this is Warren Robertson, and this is What's the Fact, as he said.
Yeah.
But the lies have to be caught, and it's all about that. It's can you look into my eyes and see deception and deceit?
Yes, always. In fact, this week there's going to be more deception and deceit than normal because we're putting on our Joe Rogan hats.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the stuff Joe Rogan likes to talk about, controversial science.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The science where there's science behind it, but for some reason, certain people are doubting the science, and there's a debate back and forth.
Oh, yes.
About. So we're going to try and find the facts and the lies, separate the facts from the lies in all of these topics.
Is he going for the climate-y type topic, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm tempted almost to start with something on the climate because the climate's one of them. It's amazing, but the climate's one of them. There's a lot of medical stuff that's in here.
Yes,
we're going to talk a little bit about homeopathy.
Yes.
And talk about there's some stuff coming up over this podcast.
Yes, I've got things quite a few animal things in mind. But controversial about
stuff like, did you know that the orca is in fact not a killer whale? Hot button stuff. No, but I think
controversial science. Yeah,
this could get heated depending on how radically you read the internet, just which parts of the internet you read and which sources you trust.
Yes.
Like
does your algorithm go slightly red leaning or blue leaning?
Do you get messages from your aunt warning you of something terrible that's about to happen, and then you instantly believe it, even though it doesn't tell you where it's coming from? Anyway, we'll find out. I'm going to go first. Because I'm super excited about this. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I'm starting on one of my favorite topics, which is genetically modified organisms.
Oh.
Essentially, genetically modified animals, plants, even microbes that we're using in a variety of ways. We use it to alter animals or bacteria that we're testing in labs. But where it gets really kind of controversial is when we genetically modify these organisms for food.
Okay.
And this is where people start getting like a little bit up in arms and saying that it's not right to genetically modify stuff. And I'm saying like it's happening already. This is my fact. I'm going to start with a fact on it. It's happening already. It's happening in many countries around the world, including South Africa, where in 2018, 2019, 90% of all white maize grown was genetically modified in a lab. That is my fact. 90%.
About what? By what year?
In 2018, 2019.
Oh, you're saying already?
Yeah, already.
So, like, what does this mean? Like, why would they do it? What does it do?
Yeah. All right. So, essentially, we have been doing this for thousands of years. We've been kind of trying to breed pure strains of things for a variety of reasons.
Yes.
Whether we want to turn the humble plantain into a banana, or whatever we want to do, we slowly start breeding for sweetness or size or color, or but the problem with that
it's
is
like a doggy thing as well. A dog breed,
right.
You take the traits and you mix them and you separate the traits you don't want to try and get that beautiful pumpkin.
And the problem with that is that obviously over time you sometimes get traits that you don't want creeping into the animal. Your bulldog, he can't breed anymore because he can't breathe. He's so fat. He can't lift himself up to actually have sex anymore. Yeah. So you start getting stuff you don't like. So what they've started doing is actually going in and changing the DNA, changing the molecular structure of these things in labs.
Yes.
Specifically for the traits they want. And what they've been able to do is they've been able to make yields larger. They've been able to make things resistant to certain pests, which then obviously means that it's cheaper to produce because you don't have to spray these things and all. They've created foods that are longer lasting on the shelves. So they've got all of these things that they're doing with it. But the flip side of this is that people are like, well, this is bad, because what happens if the genetics in these genetically modified things escapes into the wild strains and sort of messes up the wild strains? And people saying, no, that's not happening because they've created seeds that only work once. You see, so the companies that do this, they create the seeds that only work once, and then you buy a bag and now the farmers are saying, yeah, but that's not fair, because usually we would harvest a bunch of seeds and then we'd plant the next crop. Whereas now we've got to come to you, and effectively you now own
It's
Like,
the old seedless Nazi kind of debate, maybe.
a little
hey?
bit. But I mean, the thing here is that what they're saying is that essentially the companies that develop these seeds now own food because we can't now grow.
Oh.
We can't grow our food for ourselves and get the seeds off of them and
Even
then
in
use
this
them.
episode, there's an ominous, futuristic Hollywood movie.
So it's a very controversial topic. But as I say, my fact is that tough. We're already going ahead with it, and in South
you're
Africa,
saying
90% already 2018, 2019, 90% of all white maize grown in South Africa was genetically modified.
Yeah, there's that thing. Pap is white, polenta is yellow. I don't know which came first, the original color, but someone's messing with something. And
I think there's two colors of maize. I think there's white and yellow maize.
Okay,
yeah.
well, there you go. No one's messing with anything.
No, I think it's
just they're separating.
I think it's just two strains. Yeah, and they're saying specifically like white maize.
I know there's huge science involved in modern farming. So
certainly in things like how you water the crops and what fertilizers you use, and when you plant and how you plant and when you harvest, these things all matter.
So I think the rise of the organic label of things is maybe this thing it's truly just leave it in its most natural farming way, whereas everything else is highly
so organic.
A lot of interventionism.
Organic's not that. It just means that they don't use
pesticides,
pesticides. So they do all sorts of other things. They do some strange things in organic farming, like they put ox blood instead of using certain fertilizers, they put ox blood on the crops. And then what this leads to is certain parasites that were never near crops kind of getting into the crops. So they've got their own challenges. Organic farmers.
But why did they do the ox blood?
Because you need fertilizer. You need the soil to be fertile to be able to grow crops. So they do all sorts of things that they've got their own challenges. They're just introducing different problems and different kind of solutions.
This is a surprising fact you have started off with, but I think even though it sounds startling, I think you may be right. I'm saying you've started with a truth.
I have indeed started with a truth. It's 100% true. In America, they're saying like now 90% of corn, soybeans, sugar beets, they're all genetically modified in some format or another. The Food and Drug Administration in the US has just okayed, in the last few years, farmed salmon, which have been genetically modified to mature quicker. And they've said that these are okay for eating. People are starting to grow meat in labs. So,
good Lord,
maybe genetically modified, who knows what the solution is, but it's definitely controversial. But there's people on the positive side for GMO saying that without it, we wouldn't be getting the crop yields we're getting, and prices would be through the roof, and we wouldn't be able to feed everybody. And particularly South Africa with its white maize,
yes.
we need a lot of it.
It's our
it's a staple. Yeah,
staple. Yeah.
So there you are.
And I do love me some pap. I was I didn't just like my one joke in my comedy. I didn't go to nursery school, and I was raised by my domestic, and it was pap every day, and I love it. Now, white English chicks can't cook it, So my ex-wife, my mother, they didn't cook a lot of pap. When I see it, I go mad.
You can buy it. You can buy it in the Checkers.
You have to make it.
No, you can buy it pre-made in the Checkers.
Yeah.
That's the real solution. Or, and I know this is going to sound a little bit like modern feminist to you.
Yeah.
Perhaps you as a man can learn how to make it yourself. I know that sounds outrageous, but to a good Christian boy like yourself living in a traditional Christian household, it probably sounds absolutely outrageous and the kind of thing that sends you straight to hell. But
at least thinking of voting Democrat or something terrible like that.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I had a fact in mind that I was going to start off with. Then you said salmon farming.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a nice fact, which I'll move up the order of things. Pisciculture, it's called. Pisciculture.
Oh, like as in piscine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it sounds a lot cooler, like a dark part of the
pisciculture.
internet, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Sounds like
Pisciculture.
yeah, it sounds like a part of the internet you don't really want to go to because it's Donald Trump and his Russian prostitutes. You know?
So pisciculture, I just wanted to look up the whole fish farming thing because I had heard that there was a government contract going for like big fish farming thing in middle of KZN, and it was going to be the type of fish that you'd find in good old fish fingers or fish cakes and that sort of thing. And it was interesting to hear that this sort of thing was happening. And then you just picture sort of dams, sort of man-made sort of dams with lots of fish. And I mean, even animal rights activists are like, it's not really very cool for the, it's not nice for the fish to
Oh,
be.
look, I don't think any kind of mass farming is nice for the animals. I don't think that's the, as you say, it is controversial.
Yeah.
I went to Norway, and Norway and Iceland as well, if you go there, you go past the kind of inlets and the fjords. Quite often they have a large salmon kind of fenced off area for a salmon farm, because then they're actually being raised. Is this what you're about to talk about?
No, something similar. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, that look on your face. Yeah, but you go there and you can see them. You can see the hundreds and hundreds of fish. They're I suppose still in the wild. They're just sort of fenced off a bit. Kind of like the Kruger National Park of edibles.
Yeah, but that's so funny because it's like they're taking bits of the sea and they're like, yeah. And so apparently, this is not part of my fact. This is a fact, but 50% of the world's fish being produced, being consumed at the moment is from aqua farms. China's leading the way. But many countries are doing it, including Norway. But
and Yeovil, apparently, because Yeovil,
as in Joburg.
Yeah, Yeovil in Joburg, because the police there, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years ago, the police raided this block of flats where they had built these concrete dams in the back.
Seriously?
And they were raising some sort of Vietnamese river fish back there. They were just like throwing them garbage in these concrete dams and selling it in the restaurants in Yeovil.
Oh, that's
crazy. Vietnamese river fish being sold out of a Johannesburg concrete dam. The world is so global. We're so lucky.
Yeah, the old global village. But I wonder was it tasty, the Vietnamese? I can't imagine any river fish.
No, so here's the thing. Vietnamese river fish, the reason that there's a specific one, and I can't remember the name, but it tastes like hake. And quite often you'll see an ocean basket, they say that they're serving it. So you've got to be quite clever about it. Yeah.
Well, here begins my fact. So I love this. When I was reading this and I stumbled on this fact, I just had to stop. There's a Scottish company called Dawnfresh Farming Limited who have released statistics and on their fish farming, but there is one stat which is fascinating. But since 1999, they've recorded 40 escapes.
I see. Oh, so
fish escapes, yeah,
like jailbreaks.
Yeah,
I would have thought it'd been a lot more than that, to be honest. Like it just takes a small hole or a small something, and then fish are all gone.
That's crazy. So, but that's my fact. 40. There's been 40 escapees. Since
if you own a fish tank, fish suicide is a thing. That's why you have to put a lid on a fish tank, because the fish, they want to jump out quite often. And there's some species that want to jump more than others.
Is it escape or suicide?
I'll tell you one of the things. No, well, I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one of the things about salmon that's particularly famous about them is they like to jump. They like to jump up rivers. And so they're quite capable of, I'd imagine, clearing the edge of a net. I'm surprised it's only 40.
I think they wanna jump because, something I learned in this is, salmon are totally carnivorous, which makes you go, what? But I mean, it's insects, right? So that makes them carnivores. But that's hence the jumping, like dragonflies and stuff.
They're 60% fish and 40% history clutter. What have you been doing? Dirty history.
So 40
only 40.
escapees,
No, I'm sure they've had
since
more
1999.
I'm sure they've had more than 40 escapes.
Okay, well, yeah, I was lying, but I'm still so fascinated by this fact. So there've been 40 incidents, but there's been 152,790 escapes. The
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that they knew that exactly, and Marine Scotland since 1999 has their facts and figures. They've put out that there've been 357 incidents of escape. And escapees, actual fish that have escaped, 3,795,206. I just love to
Now,
know
how does your
they know
business
this.
price in the loss of 3 million fish? But as I say, like if you got one hole in the net, all the fish would be gone, right? They'd all get out.
Yeah, but who's counting?
Because here's the other thing. Here's the other thing about salmon: they like to follow each other.
That's so funny.
You know, they want to see one of them. Hey, he's found the way up. Let's go.
But because it's so the Dawn Fresh farming statistic, it was rainbow trout that had made its way into lochs and things, which is fascinating. I mean, you'd think, well, what can go wrong? We farming fish. We've had a few mistakes, so you get a few more fish in the lochs and stuff, which is.
But I mean, I assume they're local fish.
Rainbow trout. Yeah.
Are they local? They must be local to Scotland, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's so funny that if this were ever to become a real controversy, because it's a bit controversial, but it's like people of Britain, you can mess with their, cathedrals. You can relegate their soccer team. You can change the race of their prime minister, but don't you mess with their fish and chips. Don't you mess with their fish and chips.
I don't think they're eating salmon in their fish and chips, though, to be honest. I think it's cod.
Yes.
Cod and maybe hake, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any farming of. You see, that a lot of this is sort of inlandy kind of things. Well, there was a picture of an actual kind of Scottish bay area, which is similar to that Norwegian Ford thing, where they've got a thing like we farming fish right here, and but yeah, it's seafood, it's sea fish.
Yeah, you've got to keep them in the sea apparently, because otherwise they get sick if they don't have the tides and they don't have the water's constantly refreshing through the net, right? Jeez. So they get sick quite easily apparently. Anyway. So that's food.
Look, I like the idea of, hey, salmon, we're always going to have lots of it. But it's not nice if they're living on top of each other.
I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think there's any like salmon Einstein out there, developing the next theory of relativity. I think if we were keeping dolphins like that, I'd be a little bit concerned. But salmon don't know what's going on.
I hope not.
I'm sure they don't know.
They're very tasty.
I mean, look, this is proving to be one of the big evolutionary advantages for animals is, are we tasty to humans? Like chickens have never had it so good. There've never been as many chickens on Earth as there are now.
Loving it.
They vastly outnumber humans, and that's because they're delicious to humans. They've got no other evolutionary benefit whatsoever, except the fact that we like to stuff them full of garlic and eat them. Anyway, all right, we're talking about getting sick. Ha ha! We knew we were going to get to this one. This is a classic, and if you are a vaxxer or an anti-vaxxer or whatever you are, stay tuned. So my fact is, so the way the mRNA vaccines, you've heard about those, right?
Yes.
They became very popular with the COVID-19 thing. It was the Pfizer style of vaccine, right? And I'm going to tell you, mRNA vaccines such as Pfizer, they work by altering our DNA and use that to defend us against the sickness.
Altering our DNA and use that to defend us against the sickness. No, I thought they inject us with a sort of replicant of the virus, which then our immune system recognizes and starts
that's a classic
fighting.
vaccine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a classic vaccine. That's how a classic vaccine works.
So you're saying this one alters
I'm saying this
DNA.
one, what it does is it goes in and it alters our DNA to protect us against that one specific thing.
Yeah, I think that's the conspiracy theory, though. That sounds too drastic. Alters our DNA.
Yeah, so look, in our DNA, I'm gonna give you some bonus facts. In our DNA is all sorts of dead rubbish. Stuff from our previous evolutions. DNA. Yeah, just junk DNA.
Yeah.
And we do, in fact, keep little bits of viruses that we've had before in our DNA as well.
Great.
So, they reckon that the crocodile is essentially immortal. If they didn't fight each other and kill each other, it could essentially, under ideal conditions, probably live forever because it's been alive for so long that it's gotten all the viruses in its own DNA that now protect it against all of that. So what I'm saying is all this does is it taps into that particular little benefit, I suppose, over time, and that's how it works. It just adds this little thing to the chain.
Bit of crocodile.
Well, yeah, we're kind of crocodiling ourselves with these vaccines.
No, that sounds too messy with something which could go wrong. I'm gonna say this is not true. No, that's not how it worked.
Now, I would like to just say to any anti-vaxxer watching, what they've just witnessed is what's called critical thinking. It's when you hear something and it just sounds like bullshit, right? Because it absolutely is bullshit. And as you said, that is in fact the conspiracy theory of how the mRNA vaccines work. They don't. As I say, the classic ones, what they do is they take a little kind of particle of the bacteria or a deactivated part of bacteria or a dead piece of the virus or whatever it is, and then they put it in you, and then your body recognizes the dead bits of virus and starts recognizing how to defend itself against that particular sickness, right? So that's what most vaccines do. The mRNA one is actually interesting. It uses a thing called messenger RNA, which is messenger ribonucleic acid. And what this does is it's got the ability to tell your own cells to produce proteins. So what this particular little mRNA that they've developed does is it goes into your cytoplasm of your cell. It never goes anywhere near the nucleus. That's the other theory. It just goes into cytoplasm, which is where all mRNA goes. And it tells that cell to produce a protein that looks exactly like a particular part of the virus that it's trying to fight. And in the case of COVID-19, it replicates those little hooky things that gave it the coronavirus name, the little bumps on the outside of the virus. So it goes in and it replicates those. It gets your own body to produce things that look exactly like that.
Yes.
Then the immune system obviously recognizes, hang on, this isn't something we know. It still seems foreign to us, but it's actually much less dangerous for you because it's not foreign. It's something your own body has made.
Yes.
And then it develops the way to defend against it. And what it does is it effectively comes and it coats the end of that little protein. And by doing that, it stops that protein from attaching to your cells. So the second you actually get COVID, your body's already set up. It knows how to make the thing that coats the end, the little
neutralize
cap,
that thing.
the little cap that goes over the end of all of the proteins on the outside of the virus, stops the virus from attaching to your cells and stops it from replicating itself. It sort of works like if you had a piece of paper go between two halves of a Velcro strap. Sort of stops them from binding with each other, just by quite simply. So that's all the mRNA vaccine does. And then people are like, oh no, but it sticks around and it goes in your DNA and it goes in your no, it doesn't go anywhere near the nucleus of cells.
Large. Relatively,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the size of the nucleus in the midst of the cell, it really is like a tennis ball in a room. You know, it's like the nucleus is over there, and the rest of the cell's huge.
So it's all on the outside. And actually, what happens is once it's triggered the cell to produce a certain protein, the cell destroys it. So all of that mRNA that gets injected into you is gone within a few hours. And so then you need to get if it wasn't gone within a few hours, you wouldn't need to get the follow-up booster shot because it would carry on replicating its work. But but you need to get the booster shot because that retrains make sure that your immune system is like, okay, this is actually a real threat. It's gonna happen regularly.
Okay.
We are primed for this.
It's getting the immune system in training.
So there you are. So I'm very glad that you spotted that one, Ryan. I was look
at me, eh?
Yeah, I was effectively sending you Aunt Mildred's. Oh my God! Don't get the mRNA. It puts a demon in your soul. Yeah.
Well, speaking of putting a demon in your soul, man, oh man, have you heard of xenotransplantation?
No, but it sounds like a Scientology thing. Isn't that what they call the little alien that lives inside
does, eh?
They call them xenos, don't they? Aren't they xenos?
Hey,
the little alien that's supposed to live inside your body and activate your superpowers.
Oh, fantastic. Did it come from the planet where it all started?
I don't know.
Xeno,
I don't
but
know.
it does
Is
ring a
it?
bell, hey?
But yeah, so xenotransplantation is where you take like Tom Cruise's xeno
Yeah.
and you put it in a new body and thereby give him superpowers. Is that what it is? 'Cause
Yeah, and then
if it is, Ryan, I'm warning you, this isn't science.
then we're gonna make the next Mission Impossible 9.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious 10's coming out, but old Tom's falling behind. Eh? What was the last MI?
I don't know.
Like 7.
I lost track of them all. I lost track of them. What is the new Fast and Furious 10? Fast and
FNF.
Furious in space. They've already been in space.
Have
haven't
they?
I think they have.
It's got everyone this one, even that Aquaman. I don't know if he's playing
Bring back
Aquaman.
Paul Walker from the dead. Jason Momoa, you mean? Yeah.
Xenotransplantation is when you take an animal organ and transplant it into a human being. So there was the world's first, do we call it successful,
They did
heart
it with a pig.
transplantation last year, January.
Mm.
There was no other options, and the American thing called the FDA said, okay, once only. You can do this once only. So the truth of the matter is they've been doing it with things like valves of the heart from a pig before, but this is the first actual heart. Now, what tends to happen with organ transplantations is the immune system recognizes something foreign, and so that has got to kind of be mitigated. So they removed some genes from the pig's heart to mitigate that kind of immune rejection, graft rejection, I think they call it.
If eating bacon is bad for your heart, what is having bacon for a heart? What is that? Like, that's got to be the worst possible heart you can get, right?
No, I'm sure one of the medical people who gave an opinion on this was a Dr. Muhammad so-and-so. Now, that begs the question, for Jewish people and Muslim people.
Literally nowhere in the Bible does it say thou shalt not have a pig heart. Like nowhere.
So the oak did have a heart transplant, and the heart beat, and he lived for 61 days, and he died of heart failure.
Yes, because fatty fucking pure bacon heart. Like that's why he died.
So, but initially to do that monstrous operation started at 8:30 in the morning. They were done by it was a full day's work, man. No, but I'm serious. And can you imagine the stress?
Is this all your fact?
No.
Okay.
Imagine the stress of an 8-hour operation. So, but I mean, when they closed him up and they took him off the machines, and this thing is beating by itself, and he lived another 61 days with a pig heart. It's incredible.
Did he wake up and he was like, "Oh, Kermie"?
So my fact before I give you a few more facts, my fact is one of the things they had to do to get ready and prepared for this transplant included giving the pig cocaine. That is my fact.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. So I know. Okay, here's the only thing I know about cocaine connected to the heart is that when you take cocaine, your chance of having a heart attack in the next hour goes up something like 60%.
Cheapers.
Yeah. Look, your chance over the next hour is generally very low, right?
Okay.
Like you don't wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, any minute now."
Yeah.
And
Okay, but it just goes up by 60%. Okay.
Yeah, but the reason you don't is because actually your chance of having a heart attack in the next hour is like, let's say 0.01.
Yeah, I mean, if your chances was 1% of having a heart attack in the next hour, then it's 1.6.
Yeah, exactly. So that's but that's so it's quite a big thing.
Yeah, it goes up.
It goes up quite a lot, but relatively, we're not trying to turn people off of taking all of the cocaine. Sure. Why would they give the pig while it was alive? They gave it cocaine. They didn't inject it into the heart, or they were just like, "All right, thanks for your sacrifice, buddy. Here's a thank you." David Cameron was there to put his dick in its mouth.
Oh, dearie me.
Sure. Yeah, all right. That sounds totally bizarre. I can't think of any reason why they would do that, but yes, I'm gonna say it's true.
Oh man, I want to give you points for it, but I'm being. It's like a sneaky lie. It's terrible.
Okay.
I'm doing it again.
You're rioting.
Yeah, but okay. So what? They didn't give the live pig cocaine, but the heart, to keep it going, to prepare it before the transplant.
I literally asked.
They
this
flush it with
specifically.
fluids. They flush it with fluids containing adrenaline, cortisol, and cocaine, which getting clearance for was very difficult, say the medical experts, but they did do it. They
Yeah.
actually got medical clearance.
Hey, they needed clearance, not a contact to buy it. You'll notice the surgeon was like, no, I got a guy. He's Nigerian. He'll be over here in half an hour with the latest pure cut shit. Like, just get permission from the FDA.
So that kept the pig's heart going for a while, and happily robust before the transplantation. So the controversy is, it means animal rights activists, you're gonna start farming animals for the sake of having organs ready for human usage, and there are currently 11,000 Americans on a waiting list for organ transplantation. So the need is there. The company that are rearing the pigs for this purpose, this is the same company that cloned Dolly the sheep famously back in the day, and so it is very much an 18 million people around the world die from heart disease every year. So the need is there. The medical community was terribly excited by the partial success of this. What does it mean for the future? It is a strange thought indeed.
I feel like it's going to get overtaken by other technology, though, because they're at the point now where they're experimenting with stem cells and growing a person's own organs with their own stem cells.
Much better.
Yeah, it feels like less of a moral gray area as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about, is it my multiple choice fact? I think it is my multiple choice fact on this very thing. Let's call it natural versus unnatural, Natural, I mean, it's almost like the birth process. I've seen one of my kids have natural birth. The other one was from its mother's womb, untimely ripped.
Oh, no, hang on. So you saw your child born naturally. You didn't see them give birth naturally, because that'd be super weird.
No. My kid, no.
Particularly since your daughter is like 19 or something.
No, not only weird, I'd be very cross with her as well. And so like natural was the kid comes out like it's had a battle, it's had a tough fight, messy. And unnatural, they're pristine, sparkly, and blue, and perfectly pure, perfect, not a scratch or a dent, and they're fine, and they're having a nap, and it's all groovy, and that's the thing, life. The survival, you've had to go through some things, and that's made you who you are. But when you've been manufactured all nicely, it's less.
Well, you're saying if you make a heart, it's going to be a less efficient heart than, because they're all manufactured, right? And they're all manufactured in some way.
But I don't want to give away too many. No, we can't.
All right,
no.
We
can. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Put a pin in it.
Yes,
yeah, put a pin in it. Right, okay. You've heard of homeopathy. I promised I was going to talk about it. Homeopathy. I don't know how you're supposed to. Homeopathy.
I mean, in Joburg, you can. Wits Med School doesn't offer it, but for some reason, Wits Technikon offers it.
Yeah, it's in South Africa, bizarrely, it's regarded as a genuine kind of medical thing. And you talk to many people in South Africa, and they believe in homeopathy as a medical thing. And I think there's a general understanding that what homeopathy is it's like herbal medicine.
Okay.
Natural medicine. I think a lot of people who go to a homeopath don't necessarily know what it is. And what homeopathy is it's the belief that like cures like. So if you've got a headache, a highly diluted thing that also would cause headache will cure it.
Jeepers.
So yeah, essentially what you do is you take a thing, the thing that causes the symptom, will get rid of it. Will help you, will spur your body in to getting rid of it. And what you've got to do is you've got to dilute that thing.
Yes.
You've got to dilute it and dilute it and dilute it and dilute it. And in fact, the more you dilute it, the more effective it becomes as a treatment.
Yes.
And I mean, in the initial days, what they would do is they'd dilute it, they'd shake it up, and then they'd activate it by hitting it against a saddlebag, and then that would like create the medicine that you'd then take. And the guys who invented this basically sat down and they created a whole book of like, they ate a lot of stuff and they were like, well, this makes me feel queasy. Write down queasy, Oh, this is giving me terrible diarrhea. Write down diarrhea, and then this became the cure for that, diluted many times over. And so to this day, they still do that. So dilution and shaking, which they call succussion. So you got to dilute it and you got to shake it. You got to dilute it, and you got to shake it. And So once you know what it is, it sounds bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
There's a brilliant Mitchell and Webb sketch with the two doctors who are like the homeopathic surgeons, and a guy comes into the surgery and he's been hit by a Ford Mondeo. And the guy's like, "Just get me a small piece of Ford Mondeo." And at the very end, they drink these beers with just a splash of water in it and go, "Ooh, sorry, all water, splash of beer in it and go, ooh, strong." But so when you hear what it is, it sounds like absolute nonsense. But my fact is, it works.
Oh. Well, as an analogy, if it works as an analogy, maybe it is similar to the vaccine thing that you described. A part of the problem gets placed inside the cell, and then living things will fight that problem. So now you've put in a bit of probably a type of chemical or poison. You've poisoned the body. Does the body fight poisons? Does it react in a similar way to fight the poison? I would say for it's almost like these things. I would maybe go. People go when they're desperate, when they've tried medical things, or they might go if it's mild and they see a counter at a pharmacy. I mean, these things are even in South African pharmacies. There's a homeopathy counter or something, and then they might try something mild. So I like to think that actually, and it's offered, if it's tech, I like to think that maybe there are results that it works, and it's because of that similar principle. You introduced something harmful in a small dose, and so the body's counteracted that with its reverse mechanism, its defense mechanism, and so maybe it works. I'll say your fact is true.
My fact is true, and I'm going to hang on.
Wow.
So before people tune off, my fact is true. So what happens is, and scientifically, the fact that it's true comes from over a dozen systematic reviews of homeopathy. And what a systematic review is it takes all the studies that have been done on a thing, and then it compares their results and weighs them against the scientific rigor of those studies.
Okay.
And so you get an ultimate final solution. And almost uniformly, the more than dozen systematic reviews of homeopathy have come to the conclusion that homeopathic remedies are effective, exactly as effective, to the benefits offered by a placebo.
Oh, I see.
So they are in fact
I see.
a placebo, but you do get benefit from them, just as you do bizarrely from the placebo effect.
Okay, well, so okay.
So
but
you were
that's
right.
Not measuring the efficacy.
No, it's absolute. The medicine is absolute nonsense. The entire process is nonsense. But you do gain the same benefit as the placebo effect, and the placebo effect is one of the most wondrously strange things about the human body, right?
Yes.
Placebo effect, genuinely, people see improvements in their health when they get given a placebo, even if they are told it is a placebo. Like, and here's the other thing: the placebo effect is getting stronger over time because it's becoming harder to test medicines against the placebo group.
Wow.
So yeah, the placebo effect is growing stronger with our society.
Jeez.
And homeopathy gives you the same benefit as a placebo. So it does, in fact, give you benefit. It's just, unfortunately, the placebo effect.
Wow. I mean, my reflexology conversation, I don't know if we've had it, but I I bought the book in my gap year, and then I wanted to go into physio. But the lady who wrote the book on reflexology was a physio, and also I found using the techniques and mechanisms and following the pattern of what's on the feet. It's like pushing buttons on the feet, and it corresponds to parts of the body. And my whole family, they were like taking the piss, but they're like, I got a sore head. Could you massage my feet? Meantime, they're just looking for a nice, comfortable foot massage. But then they're like, my head's much better. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, whatever. Maybe they didn't have a headache in the first place. But anecdotal feedback suggests that there was some kind of positive response to that sort of thing. So I'm as much as I love science and medicine, I'm also open to the unexplored and things we might not know, or the invisible realm and stuff. And so, I'm open to hearing ancient wisdoms on it. And
I mean, as I say,
when people embrace them, it just when you say the placebo is just getting more and more as we embrace alternatives. The placebo.
Yeah, look, there's things we don't understand about our body and how our body works.
Yeah,
I think we will one day understand them. I don't think it's ancient, whatever. Or, I mean, one of the things that ancient wisdom said, you take somebody else's poo and you shove it up your bum, and you'll get better for a lot of gastric kind of things. And they're now doing fecal transplants to correct that, which is so. Sometimes ancient wisdom does, in fact.
So that was ancient.
So that was an ancient thing that people used to do, so there is now clear evidence that sometimes this ancient stuff isn't nonsense. We just didn't understand why it worked back then, and now science is catching up with it.
Yes.
And one day science will catch up with the placebo effect. It will catch up with things like reflexology. Reflexology could just be the placebo effect again. Who knows?
Yes.
But there's definitely things we don't understand about the body yet that science hasn't got all the answers for.
Yeah. The reflexology thing, where a proponent of it that wanted to say they were grounded in science would say that it has something to do with the nervous system and the nerve endings. So all nerve endings end in the feet, and so where you encounter pain, it's going up the nervous system, and then it's sending an impulse to that corresponding. So that's where they would, maybe there's truth in that. Maybe. But
the truth is we don't know.
Yeah. And also, you're not going to develop a medicine necessarily. So I understand how there's no pharmaceutical upfront payment, because research is expensive. You gotta get bang for your buck at the end of the day. And something that's just about rubbing someone's feet, I don't know.
Yeah, difficult to justify, right? It's not like cancer. You're not gonna attract all the big bucks that way.
Yeah. So you talked about ancient medical wisdom, and man, oh man, I stumbled upon the beautiful thing of leeches and their friendly cousins, maggots. And my little fact, this is my fact before we can discuss this sort of thing.
Is this even controversial though?
I tell you why it is, because if you talk about it, some people go, ew. And so...
so those people going, ew, that's enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some people go, ew over anything.
No, but maggots, did you know maggots, similarly to leeches, maggots are used as well. Yeah. So...
and they only eat the rotting flesh. They don't eat healthy flesh.
Yeah. And but my fact is, it's the person who applies... The expert who applies the maggot is called the maggot shepherd. That's my fact.
I mean, yeah. It's another one of those facts, those Ryan facts, where actually, it's very difficult to work out whether you're telling the truth, except unless I look in your eyes and I just say, Ryan, did you make this up, Ryan? Did you make this up, Ryan?
Well, did I make it up?
Did you make it up, Ryan?
I was gonna say either maggot shepherd, and it's also growing them is called maggot husbandry.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So growing them's fine. I'm not sure I love the maggot shepherd thing, though. That sounds ridiculous. I mean, surely they've got a much more dignified name for it. Maggot bastard. um, yeah, all right. I'm going for the fact that you're just lying your way through this episode. You're a liar.
Yeah, I was just absolutely talking cock about that. But we came up with the shepherd. So you're right. I'm lying. There's no maggot shepherd and there's no maggot husbandry. But what I like about the process, why it made me think of a shepherd, is firstly, what's the process like with a maggot and a wound? The wound bed is cleaned and the surrounding tissue is prepped. This is what I like. So you clean the wound, the surrounding tissue is prepped with a thick border of zinc oxide, which prevents the maggots from escaping. So it's just so funny. Shame as you clean the wound and you put zinc oxide around and then put the maggots in there and then like, oh, zinc oxide, no.
So why then do dustbins not have zinc oxide around the inside at the bottom? Or at the top around the corner, right? Like, surely that makes sense.
Maybe it's
Bagsy,
expensive.
if you can patent a thing, I've just done it. Like, I've patented the zinc oxide rubbish bin.
Yeah, the zinc, no maggots.
No maggots.
Oh,
Because they'll
zinc
stay in the bin. Yeah,
oxide.
they'll stay in the bin.
Swim away, children.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, whatever it is. If it's good enough for a wound, it's good enough for my rubbish bin.
Yeah, and then I found this just fascinating about the actual. Cause it's a maggot. It's going to be a fly one day, and they're putting it on your wound. So you put the zinc oxide. Then maggots are applied to the wound bed. There's a quote here. We apply about 10 maggots per square centimeter of the wound.
That's a lot.
Is a lot. And then place a saline damp gauze over the maggots before placing a dry, sterile gauze over the entire area. Maggots are typically left in place for 2 to 3 days, depending on the wound. Some patients may require multiple applications. And then how they are used. Let's see. Maggots are used to... So it's for healing the wound or when the tissue starts to die off and goes a bit dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. It eats
because they only eat the dead, dying tissue.
Yeah. Because like a fly is attracted to dying things, so the maggot similarly. Brilliant.
Now, no reason why I'm asking this, Ryan. Please don't get all nervous or anything. But you know how they determine the age of a body, how long ago a body was killed, by what parasites one can find on it? And generally how developed the maggots are and how close they are to turning into flies, etc., etc. So they kind of date that thing.
So
were you to take a body and then dip it in zinc oxide, would that make that person's job that much harder? No reason.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, asking for a friend. Yeah, a very specific friend.
So here's a thing on I think how the maggots work. When the maggots are applied to the wound, they secrete an enzyme in their saliva that, this is gross, sorry ladies and gentlemen who are that liquefies non-viable tissue, and then they digest it. So they first turn it
it's
into
non-viable tissue is the key part. I mean, it's like that movie The Fly. Remember where he vomits on he's having that arm wrestling match with that guy and he vomits on his arm and
I didn't ever see that.
Snaps his wrist.
Oh my word! Oh my word! Is it the dude from Jurassic Park? Did he play?
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah, that's. I just want to see if there's any more information. Yeah, the non-viable tissue and the infection are now neatly contained in the maggot's body. The patient is ready for the next phase of the wound healing. Maggots are then they're just thrown into the biohazard stuff. It's just so neat, isn't it? There's gross things. Put the maggots. Maggots are full of gross things. Put the maggots in the dustbin.
I mean, one of the big problems. My dad had brain cancer, and one of the things that you discover is from the neurosurgeon is that they can't see what's tumor and what's brain when they're carving away. So they've got their kind of scan, and they know, well, this is definitely tumor, but then they don't really know where to stop.
Right.
And what's nice about the maggot is the maggot knows where to stop. It knows where the
It's
non-viable
incredible.
tissue is.
Yeah, it's this living
So-
thing that can judge that, and because it's got a similar, well, it's a gooey living thing similar to the leech. But when I read up on the leeches in ancient medicine, man, these guys are clever. How did they know? When to apply and
Look,
what
they
to
took the
apply?
whole leech thing way too far, though. It kind of reached a point where it was like, oh, my lord is feeling ill today. He needs a dozen leeches. Oh, my lord drank too much last night. I
Bring the
recommend
leech.
24 leeches,
Yeah.
No leeches, please. I'll be fine in a few hours. Just bring me a Red Bull and a couple of Fanado. He's asking for Red Bull and Fanado. That's another dozen leeches for him. It's not.
Ooh, it's gross. I think it's controversial. Ooh,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gross.
I'm gonna go so far away from that particular ancient medicine fact that I don't even know how to connect this. But all right, here's my fact. I'm just gonna start cold with a fact. Professor Stephen Hawking believed that man is most likely to go extinct when he's used up all the resources on Earth.
Oh, really? Eh?
Yeah, that's my fact.
Wow.
Obviously, it's a controversial topic, right? How is man going to go extinct? Is man going to go extinct? Stephen Hawking believed we will go extinct, and he thought it was because we would use up all the resources on Earth and not be able to go back.
Oh, man. I hope he was more positive than that.
Mm-mm.
Well, I
Not
like
at
to
all.
think. Well,
I mean, that's largely what everybody who reports on what he said. They're like, oh, he's super negative. Yeah, I can't believe this dude who spent his whole life sitting in a wheelchair, like talking through a computer, was so bummed out about everything. But yeah.
I mean, if we think about the desalination that they're doing in the Middle East, that we should be doing in South Africa, but I know it's expensive to power the desalination plants because you've got to boil the water and to get the salt out
And
of it.
it's also, I think the filters don't last very long. But,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Oh, it's expensive.
I
So,
think.
but that's us using a resource like this, the ocean, for our fresh water, and now that we're growing steaks in a lab. I'm kidding. I'm not sure what we're growing in a lab, but the thing is,
We could grow human meat in a lab. Did you ever think of that? If somebody wants to ever try out human meat, they don't have to kill anyone anymore.
yeah,
Old Jeffrey Dahmer,
yeah,
he could have just been like,
He
hey,
should've.
could you do me a favor?
yeah.
I wonder if any of the Star Trek guys do that. They go to the replicator late at night. Human liver, please.
Someone's ordering human
Yeah.
liver again.
Yeah. Yeah, the stupid replicator squealed on me. Now I have to do 24 years.
Used up all the resources, will go extinct. Well, I think he might have said that, but I think he didn't believe we would use up all the resources. So I think you're twisting his words a bit, and I'll generally call it not true.
This is what I said. Stephen Hawking believed man is most likely to go extinct when we use up the resources on Earth. So you're actually trying to determine whether he believed it was the most likely reason for why we would go extinct.
Yeah.
Not whether he did or didn't believe it or...
Okay, so he believed that we'd most likely go extinct once we'd used up all Earth's resources.
Yeah. The most likely reason, yeah.
So, it counts out that we'd go extinct before we've used them all up.
Or no, but it also, he's saying it's more likely, most likely we'll do that rather than say the sun explodes and takes us out,
All right.
Or we get sucked into a black hole, or
All right.
an alien civilization invades us, or
that's quite positive in that the universe.
yeah.
is
So he's
mostly-
saying essentially, I think what he's saying there is that
we're going to mess things up.
It's
bad.
most likely we're going to mess ourselves up. Yeah.
Yeah, because even Einstein said, if he said it, but I think he said it, the universe is mostly peaceful. Isn't that a nice thing?
Yeah, and
Nice
actually,
thing.
there's a lot of people who believe that's not true. One of the reasons why, so I don't know if you. Now we're into complete
believe that the
conspiracy
universe
theory.
not peaceful. That Einstein didn't say that.
No. So now we're into complete conspiracy theory kind of area. But one of the theories for why we haven't heard from extraterrestrial life is called the dark forest theory, which is that all the other nations, the alien civilizations know that there is a predator out there, and they're shutting the fuck up so that it doesn't come and eat them. And there we are, just broadcasting into space and sending the Beatles. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I think, now that I've thought about it, I think it's plausible that he might have said that. Sure. Yes, I'll say you're telling the truth this time.
I'm not. I'm lying.
Like about good old Stephen.
So Stephen Hawking believed, and here it is, in a thing called the technological singularity. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of a concept called the singularity.
So now, Stephen believed that the way we will go extinct is from the technological singularity, in which we create an AI.
Oh, don't say it.
Yeah. We create an AI that is so smart that what it does is it's able to then create its superior immediately. And that then creates its superior, which then creates its superior, which then creates its superior. And within a matter of moments, we are dwarfed by an intellect that views us as we view ants. Right. So it would then destroy us, not because it's malicious, but because it just doesn't care about our concerns or our needs or our things in the same way we don't care about ant concerns.
Yes.
Or needs. So that's what he believed. So when we talk about like AI, AI is extremely controversial.
Yes.
Particularly for these reasons. A lot of people came out recently, like some big names in the industry, sort of saying we need to halt AI now because we aren't putting the checks and balances in place. A lot of the people that are developing AI are doing so recklessly and are barreling us towards this technological singularity, this moment where we lose control of our artificial intelligence. And it doesn't even have to be malicious. It just literally needs to just not care about us anymore. It needs to develop to such a degree that it cares about its own needs and to the detriment of us. So that is what he thought would be the most likely reason for our extinction. And at the moment it does look like it might be. Stephen Hawking actually said, and let me give you the quote: "Unless we learn how to prepare for and avoid the potential risks, AI could be the worst event in the history of our civilization. It brings dangers like powerful autonomous weapons or new ways for the few to oppress the many. It could bring great disruption to our economy." So there you are.
Well, you see there, the few to oppress the many. So there's still the dark force is still a bloody human element, because maybe you've got a few evil geniuses who.
Right. I mean, look, Stephen Hawking also said it's probably one of the most. I mean, he countered this. He said it really could be terrible, and we need to be aware that it could be terrible. But he countered it by saying, listen, if we are careful and we put the checks and balances in place, then it's probably our best bet for turning around climate change, because we develop something that's smarter than us, and it works out the solution for how to fix the planet. A lot of our problem as humanity at the moment is that we can't see with our senses or experience with our frail human bodies the things we need to experience.
Yes.
So we know things like dark matter exist, but we can't see them. We know they exist because of the effect they have on the things we can see, but we can't see it to study it. We don't know for sure what it is, and we don't know what's influencing it because we can't see that either. There are animals on our planet who have greater vision greater senses, are able to see the world in a totally different way than we do. So he's saying like that, like opening AI might give us access to that sort of a thing as well. But he did warn that the technological singularity, that moment where this AI just improves itself, and he says it happens in a matter of moments. It doesn't happen over months. We're trapped by our biological evolution to happen very, very slowly over time. This thing wouldn't be trapped by that. It would be able to take the next step and the next step and the next step on evolution instantly.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
So maybe I mean, ChatGPT might not just cost me my copywriter job. It might also kill me and everything I love in the whole planet. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think AI art is worth it.
Did you ever hear the Nirvana song that the one thing just made? It pumped all of Nirvana songs into it, and then it spat out a Nirvana song. That's okay. I prefer the original stuff.
Yeah, but then you're a boomer. You're biased. It was probably super cool. Yeah, there was somebody who tweeted, they went, "This isn't the future we imagined, where the AI is doing the art and the poetry and the music, and we're slaving for minimum wage."
One more quick little fact before multiple choice, I think, and it's also
Yes.
something rather frightening. Did you know? Here's my fact straight away before I give you any more things around it. That the discovery of nuclear fission in 1938 took place in Berlin, Germany. Do you know that when the war started?
In 1938,
No,
1939, yeah.
Do you know when the Hiroshima and Nagasaki were?
Yeah, 1945.
Yes. And so my fact is in 1938, the discovery of nuclear
You did an
fission.
interesting thing while you were talking about that, though, Ryan. You put your hand over your mouth, which is a genuine sign of like lying.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you Sicilian mafia now?
If people are embarrassed about what they're saying, they put their hand over their mouths.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it sounds like absolute nonsense. Fission is not a thing, Ryan. It's
nuclear fission.
I mean, I don't think it happened in Nazi Germany in 1938, unless what you're talking about is some kind of B-grade horror movie. Yeah. I mean, I know that it was the Nazi scientists who were ultimately responsible for like the nuclear program, and for the bomb eventually that got dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But I don't know. 1938. You think they went to war because they were like, okay, sweet, we've got a bomb. Let's do it.
Well, I'm telling the truth here. The discovery of nuclear fission by German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann in 1938 and its theoretical explanation by Lisa Meitner and Otto Frisch made the development of an atomic bomb a theoretical possibility.
As early as 38? That's amazing.
Fears that a German atomic bomb project would develop atomic weapons first, especially among scientists who were refugees from Nazi Germany and other fascist countries, were expressed in the Einstein Szilard letter in 1939. This prompted preliminary research in the United States in 1939. Progress was slow until the arrival of the British Maud Committee report in late 1941, which indicated that only 5 to 10 kilograms of isotopically enriched uranium-235 were needed for a bomb, instead of tons of natural uranium and a neutron moderator like heavy water. Yeah, it's all a bit scary, but here's some...
I can't believe it happened that early because, I mean, essentially then they sat on it, right? They didn't do anything with it.
Yeah. I think they were not sort of Nazi sympathizers, these two. I think they fled.
Right. No, but sure.
But
the information was there, right?
The paper was released, yeah. Yeah. And so for those who are interested in nuclear physics, here's a little explanation on what causes the big explosion. A neutron is absorbed by a uranium-235 nucleus, turning it briefly into an excited uranium-236 nucleus, with the excitation energy provided by the kinetic energy of the neutron plus the forces that bind the neutron. The uranium-236, in turn, splits into fast-moving lighter elements, fission products, and releases several free neutrons, one or more prompt gamma rays, and large amounts of energy. So it's also...
And 5 to 10 kilos
nuclear.
Of the 235 that becomes the 236. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are very few things that I think the world just generally, like scientific advancements with the world, I don't think there's controversy on this. I think we're generally terrified of this thing. You know what I mean? I think no, like there's all this thing about how we're going to use nuclear, to power future technologies, and are we going to be able to kind of copy the way that the sun works, for instance, and develop power plants around that. So it's a whole avenue of advancement and scientific thinking. But I think the world is generally settled on the fact that the nuclear bomb is a bit shit.
Yeah. I mean, what's sad is history is sort of repeating in how we behave. I'm not saying World War III is on the cards. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is before World War One, there was that alliance thing, and it's just like join a team because the other ones are going to overpower us.
You have said this before, yeah.
And then World War II was also they got more. They're building up armaments. No, they're fine. We've had a terrible war that ended all wars. We're not going to fight again. No, but they're building up armaments. Oh shit, they've invaded. Oh, okay. And then alliances.
Well, look, we can generally say, like, to people who are watching this outside of South Africa, come to South Africa, because South Africa just stood up to America, who wanted them to pick a side. And essentially, I mean, Fikile Mbalula is an idiot, right? But he was interviewed by the BBC, and the BBC said to him, they said, so what is this defending Putin? And he's like, we're not defending Putin. We're just not picking sides. We're not going to arrest him. And he was like, what about your boy Bush or Blair? When is Blair going to go to like the tribunal? They said there was nuclear, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They invaded Iraq, and there were no weapons of mass destruction.
He brought up that.
Yeah, he's like, so when are they going to go? And he's like, they are as bad as Putin. We didn't pick a side then. We're not picking a side now.
Sure.
Get fucked, essentially. And I was like, all right, Fikile Mbalula, you're an idiot, and you said it terribly.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
so yeah, come to South Africa. We don't pick sides.
Not being bullied. And in terms of I can see the diplomatic escape card of not arresting Putin if he comes here. I was like, what? It's a meeting. What? I did talk to him.
With Bashir.
I did talk to him behind closed doors about, hey, Ukraine, come on. I did mention, come on. But no, we didn't arrest him.
No, they should arrest him. If he comes, they should arrest him.
When is the BRICS meeting? Soonish, or who knows? Hey?
Yeah, who knows? I don't follow these things. Who knows? All of our economies are in the toilet at the moment. So,
I love the way they the whole world's so keen on, we're going to arrest Putin. It's like, we're trying to keep the lights on, actually.
Sorry. Our food is 50% more expensive this year than it was last year. We're all having a collective fucking meltdown. Leave us the fuck alone. We don't need your bullshit. We really don't. Anyway, right, multiple choice. And I did say I was going to get onto climate change, so here it is. Which of these is not a genuine proposal for preventing climate change?
Okay.
1, dumping iron in the sea.
Good grief.
2, sending a huge mirror into space to block the sun. 3, painting mountains white. 4, purposefully causing volcanic eruptions.
And only one is a load of cuck.
Only one of them is a load of cuck, yeah.
Painting mountains white, a big mirror facing the sun.
iron
Dumping
not necessarily
in the ocean.
facing the sun. We don't have to send the rays back to the sun, but just something to block the sun's rays from hitting Earth.
Iron in the ocean, or purposefully disrupting volcanoes.
Purposefully causing volcanic eruptions.
Oh, my word. Oh, this is terrible. Good bloody grief. Iron in the oceans. Okay.
So that's specifically what I'm talking about, is dumping massive amounts of iron filings just regularly all over the ocean.
Okay, maybe it absorbs something. Okay, no, that's fine.
You're cool with that one, all right?
Painting the mountains. Yeah, I think the mirror in the sun is like, you say mirror, but maybe it's just a few reflective satellites or some shit like that. It's like some satellite.
I mean, if you put it's the goalkeeper principle, right? If you put a little satellite quite close to the sun, it would block a lot of the rays, right?
Oh.
Kind of goalkeeper, like a goalkeeper coming out to stop
big.
Be big to stop the attacker,
It's nice.
Difficult to shoot around.
All right.
So the size of the mirror, would be relative to how far away from Earth it was.
I'm honing in on paint the bloody mountains white and disrupt the volcanoes. But the volcano sends, gas into the atmosphere. Isn't that the problem? Paint the mountains white sounds so ridiculous. So ridiculous. What would it do on a grand scale? But you can't possibly do it. No. Yeah. Okay. So I think that there's a way they can activate a volcano. I'm sure if they just piss off the dormantness with something, drill down and stick in a thing, and boom, and maybe that does something to the atmosphere. It's fine. I'm saying the one that's not true The proposal that was not a proposal is paint the bloody mountains white.
Right. Okay. Let's start at the beginning. So dumping iron in the sea is a thing, but not for the
Okay.
reason you suspected. So what happens is tiny little photosynthesizing plankton in the ocean use carbon dioxide from the air to make food, right? And when they die, they sink down to the ocean floor, taking the carbon that they've built themselves up with down to the ocean floor with them.
Mm-hmm.
And iron stimulates phytoplankton growth.
Oh.
So some people have said that if you dump a bunch of iron in the sea, then it'll cause all this phytoplankton to grow, which can then absorb all this carbon, and then they'll sink down to the bottom of the ocean where it'll be stored safely once more, in away from the atmosphere.
Okay.
They've actually done it in a few places. They've dumped iron, and it does in fact cause the phytoplankton bloom, but they've found that there's all sorts of spin-off effects to it. So it's a real proposal. It's been tested. There's kind of spin-off effects for the way that affects marine life and these sorts of things. So it's not really, it's not great. It's not a great proposal. Right, sending a huge mirror into space to block the sun. It's a bit like that episode of The Simpsons where Monty Burns is like, since the dawn of time, man has wanted to block the sun. but it is actually a real thing. And the challenge with that is who controls that mirror. So they're saying, yeah, we can send a mirror into space or a satellite or a big shield into space to block the sun's rays, and it could block 60% of the sun's rays onto the Earth, But which 60%? Where does the sun shine? Where does it not shine?
Yikes.
Who controls that? What's the politics behind that? What's the situation? So that's where that's stuck. So but it is a viable solution. It would stop a lot of heat from coming onto the planet. Okay. But how do you determine fairly where it does that? Painting the mountains white. So there was a competition for 100 ideas to save the planet that was held in 2009. And a guy by the name of Eduardo Gold, who was one of the 26 winners from the 1,700 submissions, actually said that what you have to do is you have to return, a lot of ice and snow is melted off the top of mountains, and that this whiteness was reflecting a lot of the light and heat back into the atmosphere, out into space, rather than having it absorb on the planet. So in fact, returning the Peruvian Andes to be white would be good for the planet. And they actually they did paint some of the mountain white to kind of do this. And this sort of idea is expanded to roads, where they're saying our roads should be made white, rooftops should be white, to try and reflect a lot more of the heat away from the planet. To try, so it's a genuine solution.
Oh my word!
Yeah, purposefully causing volcanic eruptions. So interestingly, one of the proposed theories is to inject gases known for reflecting light away.
Okay.
Into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it was sort of inspired by volcanic eruptions.
Okay.
So when Mount Tambora erupted in 1815. Europe, and this is in kind of Indonesia, Europe experienced the coldest winter it's had in the last 300 years the next year, because there was so much in the atmosphere that was blocking the light from making it through.
Yeah.
But what they found was, if they explode the volcanoes, it's such an erratic thing to do. It's such the climate is so super fragile. And as you say, it does put a lot of other stuff up into the atmosphere that possibly would be worse or might aggravate things. So while exploding the actual volcanoes is not a solution, taking some of the good stuff that happens after a volcano explodes and maybe putting that in the atmosphere. But again, it's got a similar problem to the mirror that blocks the sun. Where do we put these things? How do they diffuse through that? And then once we've had enough of them, can we get rid of them again? How do we, And there's companies that are ready to go on that one. There's companies that are they're like, we've got the gas, we know how to put it there. You just let us know. Yeah. So, but yeah. So actually, that is linked to a real solution. But it itself is
it's
not
like a plumber from Springs. He's ready. We must come on the.
I'm ready. Yeah. No, we've got it. We've got the technology. We can do a number of these things, and they would all help. Except maybe dumping iron in the ocean. That's a questionable one. But The others would all help. It's just actually activating the volcanoes would be worse than the help that
That's
they
why
would
we
offer.
drill a hole, right?
Yeah, we just
stick of
chuck a couple,
dynamite.
chuck a couple of nukes down there. Vladimir Putin. Yeah, so that's the actual solution. That's not a real one.
Cool. My multiple choice is pretty fascinating. The company called Colossal Biosciences, biotechnology and genetic engineering company, who are getting ready to genetically resurrect.
Jesus Christ!
Yes,
finally, we've waited long enough. Like it's the return of Zombie Jesus.
It's they are gonna resurrect all of these except one.
Okay.
The quagga, the dodo, the Tasmanian tiger, and the woolly mammoth. The quagga, the dodo, the Tasmanian tiger, and the woolly mammoth.
I hope they bring back the quagga, but I feel like the quagga is special largely to South Africans and to people who like the letter Q. Like this is the sole reason that animal is known to anybody. Like there's no, like it's a half zebra, you know, like it's a, it's a kind of zebra, really.
You know, there's a photo. There's one photo.
Yeah, that one so sad in a zoo.
Amsterdam, I think. Yeah. And then there's quite a few, about 150 mounted. What are those things called? Heads. Yeah.
No, they were plentiful. There were herds and herds and herds of them all over the Western Cape.
Oh,
but they
so sad when you think about it.
Yeah.
And the last herd was in the Free State and the southern Free State as late as about 1860. Shame.
Yeah, but I think it's an animal that is only important to South Africans. You know, I mean, I feel like the dodo, the woolly mammoth, even the Tasmanian tiger to a degree, they are much more famous. I think certainly if I was the one who could resurrect an animal, Tasmanian tiger sounds freaking badass. Right. Woolly mammoth, I want to see a woolly mammoth, right? Like, it wouldn't be lovely to see a woolly mammoth. Also, dodo, we ate them to death. That's how fucking delicious they were. If you think the chicken has evolved deliciousness, we didn't get a chance to eat it to death because it wasn't as delicious as the dodo.
Wasn't it bigger than a turkey?
Yeah, big ass bird, delicious. Oh, plum. I would.
You don't roast the whole thing.
Look,
unless you build a fucking great big.
Yeah.
You like the Argentinians roast their whole carcass of a cattle.
That's right.
You have to do that with a dodo.
That's right. So look, purely based on what I would
one
do.
of these at a big fry, hey? Yeah. Fucking dodo going in.
Oh, hey, welcome to the game. Shark Stormers, we've got a dodo on the go. The dodo's already been going for 6.5 hours. Fucking Percy's out the back. He's been turning the fucking dodo for 6.5 hours. Ready to go.
There's Warren with his spur sauce and the brush. It's fucking painting the dodo.
Yeah. So as I say, I think the quagga is only important to South Africans. I think it would probably be the easiest one to resurrect, though, because we do actually have fur and we do have, parts of its DNA. I don't know whether we've got dodo DNA. Do we? We might have. I'm sure. Look,
maybe
I'm sure somebody in the British Museum.
In the fecal matter of some Dutch explorer. Wonderlijke dodo wat ik nog gegeten. Groot dodo kakvat hier op het strand. Heerlijke dodo. Waar is Percy? Hij is kak op die strand alweer van die grote dodo al gefried. Kijk hoe friet hij die hele dodo op hemzelf.
Oh yeah. Same. Okay. All right. Yeah. So look, I'm sure the British Museum has a dodo. The British Museum has an everything.
Really?
They've got. Listen.
Oh, I've got. It must be a beautiful thing to go look at, eh? You've been there, the Natural Museum.
Yeah. No, I've been to the British Museum. I've been to the Natural Museum. I'm sure they've got a dodo. I'm sure they've got some sort of. They've got some sort of dodo. That they could use a feather or something and get some DNA. It wasn't that long ago. All right, it's the quagga. They're not bringing back the quagga.
No, you nailed it. You've nailed it. Yes, absolutely. So this fact started me off looking at a thing called backbreeding, which is what they tried with the quagga project, and they're still kind of doing it. But there comes the thing I thought I'd bring up. because there's this philosophy that, listen, folks, the quagga's gone. It's extinct and it's gone. But because it's got genetically tested to have bits of plain zebra, is it called plain zebra? I think it's called plain zebra.
Right.
So they took plain zebra. They tried to take the traits. It's got less stripes on the lower half, or the bottom half, and they're bred, and they're carrying on with this breeding program to try and get something to look like the quagga. And they've even released a few into one nature reserve and that sort of thing. So, but it is, for lack of a better word, a sort of a vanity project. There's this other great European kind of cattle thing called a Orach or something, and they've also tried the back breeding program with that.
Orach,
The
the Russian,
monstrous,
I think it's like a Russian,
big thing.
Hairy cow, yeah.
Wild boar, they've tried. I don't know, it officially gone extinct, but maybe one of the types. But they've tried this thing called back breeding.
Did you see how many that cunt Obelix ate?
Yes,
like unnecessary,
loving it,
like 6 at a time,
loving it.
Fucking, hey, come in for the rugby. Obelix has got 6 balls on the go.
And so what they're saying is, the backbreeding thing, it's a great thing, yes, to try and make this thing look like something we know died out in the past. But what natural selection did in getting it to survive that long as this great big entity before it was almost certainly hunted to extinction, you're never going to be able to produce that with your unnatural selection or your breeding.
Yeah, it might look a bit like it, but it isn't.
It's never going to be it. So,
it's sort of like when a 60-year-old woman gets a lot of plastic surgery. Might look a bit like she's 20, but she isn't.
Yes, but these oaks at Colossal Biosciences, this is more Jurassic Park stuff. They're going to get the genes and
then recreate the thing.
Yeah. So and they got great ambitions. I'll read you this little part. Colossal Biosciences is a biotechnology and genetic engineering company working to genetically resurrect the woolly mammoth, the Tasmanian tiger, and the dodo. It is claimed that the first woolly mammoth hybrid calves by 2027.
So are they growing them, I suppose, in elephant wombs or something?
So in an actual elephant womb, not a mammoth womb, but an elephant womb, and we'll reintroduce them to the Arctic tundra habitat to restore the mammoth steppe grasslands and combat climate change. I guess it's all built up in that lovely narrative. Endangered Asian elephants reportedly would have mammoth traits. Likewise, it plans to launch a thylacine research project to release Tasmanian tiger joeys back to their original Tasmanian and broader Australian habitats after a period of observation in captivity. Shoo! And now they've added the dodo is their latest announcement.
Good. Delicious. Like, what else can we bring back to eat? Like, I want to eat a T-Rex. Bring me back a T-Rex. Like, hey, fucking Cyril's got a T-Rex on the braai.
But man, whatever they've got here, they've got stuff of dinos, man. I mean, we can get stuff out of the bone now.
We're becoming increasingly good at extracting DNA from very, very old bones and very old.
So maybe that whole Jurassic Park little dream of his was a bit of sci-fi in the making, and might be realized.
Maybe we can bring back Tolland Man.
Tolland Man?
He's the dude who fell in the peat.
Oh.
And then he was preserved, and maybe we can bring him back. It's like, what the fuck am I doing here? We're bringing back Tolland Man. We're gonna have you can buy a Tolland Man off our website. Like he's an oak. He's a guy. Shit, I bought 3 of those Tolland Men. They're terrible at the dishes. But, man, can they cook a dodo?
Oh man, this is turning controversial science indeed. Tolland Man.
Anyway, this has been excellent.
It's lovely.
Yeah, really good.
Lovely topic.
Guys, please like, share, tell your friends. We're also on Spotify. If you don't want to look at this and you just want to hear the facts, on Spotify and Apple and everywhere else you can get your podcasts.
Maybe it's too tempting for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe you're finding yourself too aroused while watching the podcast. Yeah, but thank you very much for joining us once again. Please tell your friends, and we'll catch you at the next one.
Yes, and if I don't see you tomorrow, then good afternoon.
Bye. Bye. Bye.